Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this live Facebook session where I'm going to be diving into building out this, or continuing to build out this budgeting application that I've started long ago, and I'm continuing to add new functionality to it every single day. Now, these live or Facebook lives that I'm doing, or repurposed to Google videos and all this stuff, these are serve the purpose of me tinkering around with the code. So I'm going to be teaching while I'm tinkering, but by no means is this video going to be polished, and by no means is it going to be entirely fully focused on one specific subject. So if that's not your cup of tea, you don't have to watch this video, okay? There's the door. So the focus of this one is going to be obviously continuing my budgeting application and building out the budget view, which we'll get into in just a moment. First up, I just want to, on my page here, or refresh, actually, hold on, I guess I could say, let me say show my screen. There we go. So sorry about that. I'm just trying to get through some technical difficulties at the moment, getting everything set up. Okay, so there's a screen. This is me sort of paused now in this video. So what I want to do is I just want to share this video with the people inside of my, group, my Coders Campus group, posting as and into Coders Campus? No. Anywho, I don't think that's, for some reason, oh, share a page you manage. Here we go, share in a group. That's what I want to do. Coders Campus group. Bada bing, bada boom. I had a little piece of text here that I'll paste in and say post. There we go. Okay, that's done for my housekeeping stuff. I just want to make sure everyone gets a chance to watch this video. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to log back into my application that I started building. So this is my budgeting application. There are no budgets currently installed inside of this view. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to click the add button. That's going to add a new budget. And if I click the add button again, it's going to add another new budget. And when I click on these budgets, this is where I want it to go to a specific view where I can go into that individual budget and start to tinker with it. So change the name and start to actually build out the budget and add things like groups and categories and transactions and so on and so forth. I'm going to try to get as far as I can into the topic today. And this is probably going to take about between 45 to 60 minutes, depending on how things are going for this session, but that's what I plan on doing. So that is what is on tap for today. And like I said, or like it says below, over here, how can I point over there? Anyway, you can go and follow along for the entire ride, for the entire budget application build by going to coderscampus.com/budget, and it's just $27. The price will be going up because there are a enormous number of videos that are going into building out this application. So for $27, you can see the entire thing from start to finish. It is going to be an incredible learning journey where you get to learn about absolutely everything in full stack Java web development, from the tiniest little minute details all the way to the broad strokes of the language. So if you already have some knowledge of Java, this is a wonderful addition to your learning syllabus. If you are brand new to Java, you've never seen stuff before, this is going to go way over your head. So this was too advanced. You need to step back and take something like the Java Super Course, or to subscribe to the Coders Campus membership via coderscampus.com. All right, so let me go ahead and take that off the screen so we can focus on the code. And as always, if you have any questions while we're going through this live demonstration, feel free to comment on Facebook and ask away. So what are we going to do today? So we're going to go into the budgets view, which doesn't exist yet. So the first thing is, when we click on one of these budgets, I want it to load up an actual budget view. So it'll go to the endpoint of /budgets and then something like / and then the ID for the budget. So /1 or 2 or 3 or 700 and whatever, doesn't matter. Whatever the physical ID is in the database for that budget, it will, when we click on it, it will go to that view and render a budget.html. So let's create a budget.html file, budget.html. Oh, look at that. I already had sort of a template in here that worked out very nicely for the creation of this. So there we go. We have a budget.html, which takes in, let's take a look at this. So actually, the first thing I want to do is refactor some of this code, because in the previous video, I included a little fragments thing with Timeleaf where I could bring in, instead of having all four of these scripts and style sheets separately, I can paste in only one line of code and it'll bring in those things one by one. So, okay, we have a card, we have a create your new budget card body with budget name, and it grabs a budget name from the model. Okay, fantastic. So on the budget controller, do we have something that renders that view? So we have one get that just does /budgets endpoint. Do we have another get? No, we don't. So let's create another endpoint. We can create another request mapping. The value for this one is going to be referring to a budget ID. Okay, so this is a essentially a path variable that we're putting into the context of our endpoint. Method will be request method.get. This will return a string view, and this will be get budget. Ooh, I should change this one to be get budgets, just so we're on the same page. So then we need to bring in our path variable, which is the budget ID path variable, and this will be a long data type. And we'll most likely need to bring in a model map, as we'll be sending stuff to the model. Control-Shift-O to do our imports. Okay, so we have a name conflict here between get budgets and get budgets. So let's see, what can we name this one? Get budget view, I guess. It doesn't matter the name of this at all, so I don't really worry about the name of it. So get budget here will be, I guess I can say get budget view here to stay consistent. And this will return budget, which again, the budget here will refer to the budget.html that we have created here. And on that budget.html page, we are referencing something on the model, which is something I call budget, and then the name of the budget. So this is going to be an actual Java object, that we created previously, which is right here. This is our budget class, our Java object. So we want to put that on the model. So model.put budget will be the key, and the value will be the actual budget that we load from the database. So the budget that we load from the database we haven't created yet. So let's do that. Let's load it from the database. Budget service dot, let's see, find, no. Do we have a get? We have a save and we have a get budget. So we don't yet have a method that gets a budget by ID. So we'll do get budget by ID. And we'll pass in the budget ID that we've grabbed from the path variable. And then we will have that assigned to an actual budget object. And then what we'll do is we'll create this method. So we will create method get budget by ID inside of the budget service, which is right here now. I've created the snippet of it. So what this will do is it will actually interact with our budget repository or repo from the budget service class. All of this is all stuff that we've created previously. So we have controllers talking to services, talking to repositories, which is the proper way to separate all your concerns. So let's do budget repository dot, and we can say find, let's see, find by, or find one. We want to find one budget specifically by the budget ID, and we want to return that budget. So that piece of code is actually pretty simple. And there we go. We'll save that guy, and it will resolve the compilation issue. So we are good to go. So now let's take that code and let's have a look and see what happens when we fire up our server. Let's see. Refresh the page. I'll log in. Oh, right. I also need to make it so that when we click on the budget, it actually does something. So that's on the budgets view, budgets.html. So let's go to budgets.html. And this is the code where we are iterating through the budgets. So the anchor tag, or the href here, it needs to be dynamically populated based on the budgets that we are iterating through. So on our model right now, there are two budgets, budget 1, budget 2, and we are iterating through them. So what we can do is we can augment this href to be a th href, which is a Timeleaf href, to make it a dynamic href that we're going to create using the sort of syntax, the @ symbol followed by the curly brackets, we can now specify a URL. So we can build a URL, which is going to be budgets/budgets / and then the budget ID, right? Hold on. Is it curly brackets now or round brackets? I can't remember. I think it's curly. We say budget ID. But when I just typed in budget ID, and that has, it doesn't know what the heck that is. I could have typed in, we say this dog poop, because it doesn't have any meaning yet. So this budget ID has no meaning. We need to assign the meaning of it inside of our code here. So in order to do that, we have round brackets where we say, hey, the budget ID that I specified over here, that budget ID equals the budget that we are iterating through. So this is an actual variable name that we have declared and are using. So we can reference that with Spring expression language. And I want to say, grab the ID from that budget that is on the model. That budget just represents a budget class, which has a property of ID. So that's where I got the .id from. So we're just grabbing that particular ID property. So that should hopefully build out a dynamic URL such that when I hover over these different budgets, it'll produce a different URL. So let's test that out and see if it works. Let's refresh. So if I hover over, I don't know if you can see that on your screen, but at the very bottom of my browser, maybe if I bring this up here, at the very bottom of the browser, it says budgets. It says localhost 8080/budgets/66. And if I hover over the second one, it says budget/67. So these are two different URLs that it's taking in the actual ID of that budget in the database, and it's populating it inside of the anchor tag. So I can prove that by going to my database and saying select star from budget, and look at the IDs. The ID is 66 and 67 inside of my database. That might be too small of a font for you guys on your cell phones to see, but it does say 66 and 67. So just to show you that I'm not faking it, those are the actual IDs that are stored in the database. So now if I click on one of these, it's going to go to the create your new budget view that we just created over here with the budget.html, right? So it says create your new budget name, and we're populating the budget name from the budget that's on the model. So budget number 1 is right here. That's the one we clicked on, which is /66. If we manually go over to /67 and hit enter, it's going to say budget number 2 because that's the budget that we are grabbing from the model. Okay, cool. So I'm trying to think what else we need to do in terms of, do we need to do anything for modifying the budget? So generally, there's just the name of the budget. In terms of editing the name is one aspect of it. But then we also want to be able to start adding categories and groups and, like I said, transactions and all that stuff. So it's almost like that's a different view than what I want to actually have in front of me here. So this is a design issue now that I'm running into. It's almost like what I want to do here is, on the top, I don't want to say create your new budget. I don't want the title to be create your new budget. I almost want the title to be the name of the budget. And the title is, it's almost like it's clickable or something where you can click on it to change the name of the budget itself. How do I feel about that? So we can do this, let's see. We can do this via Ajax if we wanted to. Whereby you can change the name of the budget up top, and as soon as you click away, it will automatically update the budget inside of the database. But that's a fair bit of code to do that. That's like 3 sessions just to be able to get all that stuff done. Let's see. Where else could we do this? It's almost like I want to be able to, when you change the it's almost like changing the name is something that I just want to have completely separate from it. So for now, I'll tell you what. For now, let's change this so that the title is not create your new budget. Instead, the title will be text, and it will be the name of the budget. Okay. So example budget, we'll just put that in here for now just as a placeholder. And so if we refresh, it has the budget name at the top. But then this whole concept of having the budget name editable down here, I don't want that actually now that I think about stuff. So I'm actually going to delete that. So there's no, it's not in there anymore. Because really here, we want to be adding groups and categories to our budget, right? So, okay. How do we do that? So there is essentially going to be a category, an add category button, I guess. We'll start with that. Class equals BTN, we'll call it BTN primary, and we'll say create category. Right? So we'll have a button that says create category. And when we click on this button, it should actually bring us to a screen where we can create a category. Okay? However, when we create a category exists inside of groups, which exists inside of budgets. So really, we don't want to create a category unless we already have a group. So really, we want to first create a group. Okay, so let's change this. Let's say create group. Let's have another button that says create category. Two buttons. Should they be on, can they be in the same row? I think they could be in the same row. I think that's not a big deal. In terms of, so if I had a mobile screen, so it's like, you know, super small, well, it depends on how small the phone is. If it's this small, that doesn't look good. But if it's just a little bit bigger, that doesn't look too bad. Although you could fat finger it if you have a big finger and you could accidentally hit one versus the other. So maybe we should have it on two rows. So we'll say div class equals row. We'll have one button on one row. So div class equals column. And we'll do the same thing, div row and column with this button, like so. Put them on two rows. And it's interesting because it doesn't give it much space between them, which is surprising. I thought there might be, it might handle that a little bit better when you have two different rows. It's almost like I need to put a hard break in there to give it some space, but fair enough. We can do that. So when we create on or click on create group, that is the first step. We want categories exist inside groups. Groups exist inside budgets. So the first step is to create a group. But it's almost like when I create a new budget, I kind of want to already have stuff there. I already want to have a group there, like some default budgeting type stuff, like, you know, having a savings category that exists inside of like or like an emergency fund category that exists inside of a savings group, something like that. So you know what? I do want to do that. Let's switch things up and go back to our budgeting controller and specifically our budgeting service where we save a budget. Now, this is actually saving a new budget. Now that I think about it, this is probably a bad name for a method. This is saving a brand new budget. So I should probably refactor this and call this save new budget. And let me just terminate the server for now. And inside of here, when we create the new budget, we should set more stuff in there. We should create groups and categories, or at least one group with one category inside of it. So let's do that. Let's make it happen. So group equals new group. And we'll import that from our own application. We'll say group.set budget to be the budget. Group.set categories we don't have yet, but name. For now, we'll hard code this one to say savings will be the group. And then let's also create a category. So category equals new category. And we will import that from our own. Oh, apparently it's already in here. Yep, okay, fantastic. Where is this? Where am I using a category? Interesting. it must have been a leftover import that I'd had in there. So category.set budget. Interesting. Should a category have a budget set into it? I thought the category, hold on. Oh, this budget is, right. This is the actual dollar budget, not the, it's kind of almost a misnomer, but this is the actual dollar amount that we're setting as the dollar budget inside of a category, not the overall overarching budget that holds all the information. So I want to set the name for this one to be emergency fund. Category, I'm kind of imposing my will here, saying that everyone should have an emergency fund. The start date and end date, we should create dates based off of the first and the last days of the current month. So what we'll do here is we will create a start date and end date. Really, I should extrapolate this stuff, so or pull this out and refactor it, but anyway, I can do that later. So let's do a start date. Well, first we'll create a calendar. Cal equals new equals calendar dot instance. And then we'll say cal dot set, let's see, set, set calendar dot date to be the first. Calendar dot set, oops, calendar, can I say, like, set the beginning of the day? Let's see if there's a, oh, get first day of week. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can get first day of month. Get minimal days, get first day of week. Shoot. Get maximum days, minimum, get weeks and year. First day of week, get time. Okay, that doesn't help. Can I set it to the beginning of the day? Set minimal days, set time zone, set week date? No. Role adds a specific amount. No. So essentially what I'm looking at here is I'm trying to find out if there's an easy way to set it to the beginning of the day, but it doesn't look like there is an easy way to do that. So I need to do it this way. I need to say calendar dot hour is essentially what, 0, calendar dot set hour, minute, second, I guess. Calendar dot second will be 0. So that sets it essentially to the first day of the current month, because when I say calendar cal equals new calendar equals calendar dot get instance, this gets the current date and time. Okay, so it initializes to this current date and time, which today I'm recording this at 11:30 a.m. Eastern time on October 31st. Which, hey, happy Halloween. So that's what the calendar's gonna be set to. But then I'm gonna say, hey, set it to the first day of this current month, which will be October 1st at 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. So the very beginning of the day of the first day of the month. So then I can say date, start date equals calendar.getTime. Right? So that'll set the start date to be the first day of the calendar month. So then I want to get the last day, right? So then I can say, hey, cal.set calendar.date to be, so I can't just hard code 31st. How do I do this now? I want to get the last day of the month. Oh, shoot. I don't have enough skills to know this. Day of month, day of week. Is there any sort of week of year, get instance? So let's Google it. That's the best way to do stuff. Java calendar get last day of month. Getting last day of month. Date format, get instance, set time, converted date, set day of month, get actual maximum day of month. Oh, shoot. So there is a minimum way to do this. Okay. Anyway, so I want to say calendar dot set day of month. So calendar dot date. Oops. Is cal dot get maximum, actual maximum of calendar dot essentially date, right? So that'll get the last day of the month. Excellent. And then I can say end date equals cal dot get time. The question is, this should be all the way to the end of the day as well as, or the time of day. So set, oh, this is riveting stuff. Actually, I can just copy this stuff. Riveting. So the hour will be the 23rd hour, the 59th minute, and the 59th second, let's say. That'll be defined as the last day, the last hour, minute, and second of the month. And we can set that to the end date. So cool. So let's extrapolate this out and say, how do I do that again? Where is it? Generate, override, format, organize. No, there's a way to do, I've lost all my, here you go, Alt-Shift-T, that's what it is, refactor. Alt-Shift-T and then extract method. We'll call this at first day of month. And then we'll call this extract method get last day of month, just to keep the code somewhat legible. Is that the right? Yeah. End date, and then we want to set that into category dot set end date. Bada boom, bada boom. Okay, cool. So we've got a start date, we've got an end date set for our category, we've got the name for our category dot set, what else? End date, group, yes, the group, we want to set it into the group we created earlier, which is right here, group. Let's call this something more meaningful like savings group. Set that in the savings group, and this category will be emergency category. Just give some meaningful names for our variable names. So emergency category dot set ID, name, start date, transactions, group, end date, budget. Okay, so that's cool. That sort of gives us the starting point for what we want to do. Now, we also need to remember to do the bidirectionalness of everything here. So we've set the group into the emergency category, but now we need to do the opposite as well. We need to say savings group dot set categories. Okay, so we need to create a categories. So we need to have a set of, is it a set or a tree set? Let's see. It just says set of categories. Categories equals new hash set. And oops, not categories, category. And then we want to add to our categories the emergency category. So we're adding the emergency category to the category set, and then we're setting that onto the savings group. So we category set group, group set category, bidirectional. Cool. What else do we need to do for bidirectionalness? In the group, we set the budget, which leads me to believe that the budget needs to set the group, which again needs a set of groups. Groups equals new hash set groups dot add savings group. Budget dot set group savings group. No, groups, sorry. Apologies. Okay, bidirectionalness again. Savings group set budget, budget set the savings group. Cool. So we've done all of those changes now, and I wonder if I've broken anything. We've done some refactoring. The chance of breaking stuff is always high, so let's restart our server and see what we've done. I probably have another 20-ish minutes in me in terms of playing around with this stuff, just so you guys are aware of what my time frame is for this video. So if I say add a new budget, oh my goodness, and look at that, it created a new budget. And look at that, insert in a budget, groups, category, all that stuff is there. Fantastic, into our new budget 3. So, okay, so new budget 3 has all that default group and that default category set into it. So now we need to grab that stuff from the model and put it onto the screen. So how do we do that? Well, in our budget controller, we have the budget ID view that we just grabbed. So we say get budget by ID, we put it on the model and we send it to the model. So the budget should already be on the model. The budget should already have all the data and everything necessary to actually display this stuff. So it's a matter of going to the budget HTML page and actually displaying it, right? So inside of the card body, we'll do a div class row. And essentially the way this needs to work is I want to see categories inside of groups. So from a design perspective, what the heck is that going to look like? It's almost like I want a field set, I think. I want a field set, and this is not going to be inside of a row. So this is going to be me tinkering for a bit. This could get ugly. There's a field set, and the legend of the field set is going to be the groups, right? So the legend is going to be the group. And I want to have multiple field sets, one after the other. Let's code in an example, okay? So we'll have one field set. The legend will say test group number 1. And then inside of here, we'll have an example of a category. So we'll have a div that says, category number 1, okay? And then we'll duplicate this, pretend like we have another group, test group number 2, with category, number 2, okay? Let's just see how that looks in terms of plain old code. So I was hoping that the field set would give me some sort of groupingness to it instead of just doing a uppercase or a bigger sort of header. So let's go to Bootstrap. And let's take a look at their documentation, and let's see if we can find any sort of components that will give us the look and the feel that we're actually looking for. So this is Jumbotron, that's right. But the Jumbotron, I don't know if you can have like I don't know if you can have a nice title on the Jumbotron. That's a possibility to use a Jumbotron. Let's see, carousel, I don't believe that's what we want. Those are like slides and stuff. That's not going to do it. Breadcrumb, buttons, button group, card. I mean, should we do a nested card? A card inside a card? Because this is kind of what I'm looking for, right? It's got the regular outline. Oh boy, let's see what this looks like. Let's see what a card inside of a card looks like. So let's delete the field set. Let's go in here. Let's paste in this code. See what a card inside of a card looks like. Okay. So I guess it's not terrible. Because here I don't necessarily care about the title of the card or the subtitle, but I do care about the body. So the body will essentially have the categories, right? Category 1, 2, 3, and then we'll have another card. Oh, right, I'm setting the width. I don't want to set the width. I want this to be full width. Of another card. Oh, but sorry, I do need a title. My apologies. I do need a title because that's going to represent the group name. So how is that? You say inside the body card title. So we'll do inside the body, we'll do an h4 class equals card title, and we'll say group number 1. And then, group number 2, category 1, 2, 3, or whatever. Doesn't matter. Let's just see what that looks like. Okay. So that's not bad. That is closer to what it is that I was hoping to have outputted on the screen. I think it's close enough. So let's do, I need space in between them. Yeah, okay. And then obviously space. The space between. Okay, I like that. Cool. So that will be sort of the generic layout. So now we need to take this generic layout that I forcefully typed in and hard-coded, and I need to make it generic. I need to make it work based on the data that I'm pulling in from the model. So remember, we have a budget on the model. A budget has a one-to-many relationship to a group or groups, which a group has a one-to-many relationship to categories. So we have some nested stuff going on here. So for the div class, the card body, I want to, this card body is fine, sorry. For the cards inside of the cards inside of the card, these guys are what I'm repeating. The code I'm selecting is what I want to repeat based on the data from the database. So div class card, we want to have multiple cards. So that means we need to have a th each here, most likely. And we need to be iterating through budgets. Oh, interesting. Budget dot groups, right? And we'll call it a group. Iterating through a group per card, right? And the card title is going to be th text group dot name, the name of the group. And then for each of these, we're going to be iterating through th each. We're going to be iterating through group dot categories, right? Category. And therefore, we can do th text of category dot name. At least I think it's category dot name. So I think if I've done this correctly, if I reload, there you go. We grab the savings group and the emergency fund category that we had defined inside of the database. So, hey, things are starting to shape up and look like something's actually starting to happen here. So that's great. How much time do I have? Maybe, another 15 minutes here. So what can I do? Let's have, let's start to put in the functionality for creating a group, I guess. Is that what I want to do right now? Because there's a few things that we can do. We can have a creating of a group. We can have a creating of a category. And we can also make these clickable so that you can add transactions. Because there's different screens here that we can work with. When I click on emergency fund, I want this to go into a new screen where we can then add transactions to that particular category. Okay? So there's a whole bunch of different directions I can be going here. Which direction do I want to go? So let's do the create group, I guess. So when we click on create group, it should give us a view where we can actually obviously create that group. Now, that's going to be interesting. It's almost like when I click on this, it's almost like I want to have a pop-up to create a group from, because I don't necessarily want to have, unless I have a different endpoint. So what I'm struggling with in my head right now is the URL structure. So we're on /budget/68 right now, which represents budget ID 68. And then when I click on create group, it's going to go to /groups. Okay, but if you want to do this in a RESTful manner, you should do a post to /groups to create a new group, right? And I guess what I could do, So one thing I could make it do is just like I did back here when I go back to budgets and I click on the plus sign, it automatically created a new budget and it assigned a name to that budget, a default name. So the same sort of thing can happen if I click on create group. It can create a group with, you know, a default name like group number 1 and add it to this view, in which case then you'll have to take another click to click on the group name in order to edit the name of the group. So that's not terrible in terms of workflow. There's a few extra clicks, but they're not going to be creating a lot of groups to begin with. So I don't think this is going to be something that's too big a deal to worry about. It's more of the categories now. When I'm thinking about creating a category, there are a few things that I want to do with category creation. There's a few more things to do than just assigning a name. It's also assigning the budgets for them and so on and so forth. But I mean, that could technically happen again. We could create... So this is going to get complicated, but that's okay. That's what programming is all about. So it depends on how do I want to implement this. So the other way to implement this is when I click on create group, it can go to /groups/create. So I can do, instead of a post, the groups endpoint, I can do a get request to /create, and the /create screen will be an actual view where you can, you know, it'll be just like the one we see here, where we can do in detail, when we can create and you know, name our group accordingly. Same with create category. If I click create category, it'll be groups / I guess create category, and then that will ask which groups you want to associate with this, and so on and so forth. It's not, that's kind of goes against some of the standards for creating web applications, but I think it will simplify things if I do it that way. So that's something I'm going to have to wrestle with in my own mind. And I guess that'll be outside of the context of this particular talk. Yeah, I think that's something I'm going to have to wrestle with in my mind and come back to it and decide, because otherwise it's going to be a few extra clicks for people. When they click on create category, it's going to create a category called, you know, category number 1, but then what group does it get assigned to? It's almost like I should then have an unassigned group, right? A group where, you know, or an undefined or a default or a something group where it's like a catch-all, where when I create a new category, it goes into this, you know, whatever group, undefined or unassigned group. So I could do it that way. Which again isn't terrible. It's just another click to click in there to say, okay, edit this category that we just created, brings up the category edit screen, in which case we can assign the group in that view. Again, a few extra clicks, not too big a deal. Then the only problem is we always need to have the unassigned category or a group available so that when people click on create category, it will go into there. Unless what we do is when we say create category, it just goes into the one on top or something. But that's not intuitive either. I'd rather put it into an unassigned group. That makes more sense. That's a more meaningful place to put a category. So there you go. Maybe I just talked through it. Maybe I'm okay with that concept. So I'll have to do it in such a way that when we create inside of the budget service, we create the emergency fund and the emergency category, but we should also, the emergency category and the savings group, but we should also create another group. So we should create a group called unassigned group equals new group. Unassigned group dot set budget to be budget, and then unassigned group dot set name to be unassigned categories. Cool. And then groups, we do groups dot add not only a savings group, oops, not dot add all, but the unassigned group as well. And I guess we don't really need to assign any categories into that group. So let's go ahead and go back to our budgets page. If I say new budget, budget number 5 should have an unassigned categories group. There you go. Cool. Oh, and then there's no, I didn't put a line break break between them. So just a little display thing. So for each, would I put a break here? See how that looks? No, because I want to have a break after each one. How do you do that? Shoot. Because this is just going to put a break after the last one, not after every single one. Oh, shoot. How do you do that? Oh, I guess what I could do is I could set a style. I could say style margin bottom is 1em or something like that. There you go. Or 1.5 ems. There you go. That gives us some space between them. And then what I can do is if there are no categories or something, so I can say a th if, or sorry, div th if lists.is empty budget.groups, then I can just say no categories assigned, or no categories in this group. Why didn't that work? This is empty budget.groups. If it's empty, is it, oh shoot, is it, maybe it is not empty, maybe there's an empty category in there or something? Shoot, I'm gonna have to look into that. How am I on time? Let's see if I can do it in 5 minutes. Let's take a look at our, where we see that the controller, yeah, it would be right here. Let's put a breakpoint in there, refresh the page. So we have the budget. Let's take a look and see what groups we have. We should have 2 groups. The first one is the unassigned categories. See, categories has an empty, well, no, it is empty. Should that, okay, let's do a display. Can I say budget.get groups.iterator.next and then assign that to, what can I assign that to? That's a group equals, and then say group.get groups, or group.size. How would I do that? Budget.groups, we'll get the unassigned group, then group.get categories dot size, because that's what I care about, right? So we'll run this first. Oh, group cannot be resolved to a type. Shoot, I need to do the whole long form. Ugh, I don't want to do it that way. I'll just do the code in here. I'll just say budget.get groups.iterator.next and assign that to a group called whatever, and then say next.get categories.size, and just hope that the first group is the one we want to work with. Let's see what happens. The shot in the dark. We have a 50% chance of getting it right. Refresh the page. All right. What's our group? Unassigned categories. Good. That's what I want to see. So what is the size of the categories? It should be, yeah, 0. So I guess it's, but it's not empty, I guess, because if it's empty, it would be null. So I want the size, I guess. I want to do a, how do I do that? Time leaf is set empty. But that's what I did already. I did list.is empty with the THF, so that doesn't get the job done. Is set size 0, essentially. How to print array size? I don't want to see the array size. Set elements. So to me that's not functioning correctly. To me, the empty check should work. List is empty, budget.groups. So, okay, hold on. Sorry, I see why this is not working. My apologies. I should have seen this earlier. We don't care about budget groups. Of course, groups is not empty. Groups, we have 2 groups, so of course it's not empty. What we want is group.categories. My apologies if you were screaming at me. Well, you weren't screaming at me because you didn't leave a comment in the Facebook page, so there you go. There you go. No category assigned this group. It's in the wrong spot, but that's okay. I just want to make sure that I can get that printed out so we can change the look and feel of that. So that was the case because why? Oh, I put it above the card title. That's why. So I put it below the card title. Go back, log back in because I had to reboot. Get rid of that breakpoint. There you go. Unassigned categories, no categories in this group. Excellent. So there you go. That's the first, like I promised, took me about, just shy of an hour to do this. We successfully created a group and a category via hard coding, which is fine. I want that to happen in terms of hard coding this data. I want every budget to have a savings category and always to have an emergency fund. So that's cool. And then we also have the unassigned categories for when we say create a category. So that's also cool. So we've got that created. It's actually stored in the database. So everything you see here is not hard coded anymore in terms of, in terms of it pulling. If I'm not making anything up in the controller, this is all being pulled from the database. So it's, I guess, hard coded into the database and placed onto the screen. So from here, it shouldn't be too much of a leap to be able to create a group and a category and have them display on this page immediately. Like once I say create group, it'll create a new group called group number 1 and probably put it at the bottom. And then you can, start to add categories and so on and so forth. And the categories will go into the unassigned categories group, and then we can click on these and edit the categories. And so this is cool. This is all coming together. I'm liking this. So there you go. Thanks for joining me on this little session. Like I said before, if you're interested in seeing sort of the shortened version of these videos, where I'm actually, creating this stuff from scratch, but there's not so much of this thinking about it and going back and forth. This is more, I do this session first to plan ahead. And then the actual videos that I record and place into my budget app workshop series, those are much more polished, and because I've done the planning already in these Facebook Live sessions, and they are available to you in the form of a course that you can purchase via coderscampus.com/budget. And like I said, right now it's just $27. The price will be going up. I've already recorded 17 or 18 videos, and there's going to be many, many more videos. So the price is going to be going up to at least $50 for this budgeting app workshop. So if you're interested, you can purchase it yourself right now for $27. Plus, hint, hint, there is a good special deal on the entire Coders Campus library when you do purchase the budgeting app workshop as an upsell. So if you are interested also in getting access to Coders Campus, which is my entire library of I don't know how many videos at this point. Coders Campus is it's typically $97 a month. It's 270 lessons, 133.4 hours of content. Okay, so Coders Campus, it won't be $97 a month. There's a great deal waiting for you if you do purchase the budgeting app workshop, but I won't spoil the surprise. So if you want to grab that, by all means, and then you can get access to just a gigantic library of videos. It's everything you need to know about building a full stack Java web application from scratch. It's essentially like a university education distilled down into one big library of courses. So cool. Check it out, coderscampus.com/budget, and can't wait to see you on the inside. So happy learning, take care of yourself, and as always, bye for now.